Amud.
Hakadosh Boker or Masechet Bava Kamma Daf Peitet Amud Aleph 89a1. The Gemara is talking about that. What happened is that Rav Idi Baravin comes and he says, we already learned in a braita that the Chachamim instituted that if a person comes, if two witnesses come and they testify about a man that giresh et ishto v'natan ketubata, and he gave her the ketubah, and harei yoshevet tachtav u'mishav ashto, she's serving him, which means that, one second, what's going on over here? That kiru that she's still nisua. So he never divorced her, right? But they already said that they already divorced her and they even paid the ketubah. So according to them, right, now, right, she cannot get her ketubah anymore. And now these witnesses were found to be adim zomnim. And omrim, we're not going to say yishalmula at kol ketubah. We're not going to say they have to pay her entire ketubah. Ella, but rather tovat hana'ah ketubata. They only have to pay the tovat hana'ah of ketubata. You remember I told you what tovat hana'ah of the ketubata was? For example, if they're lovebirds, which means that they're young, right? What are the chances of her getting her ketubah? Very slim. First of all, they're in love, so he's not going to come and he's going to start divorcing her for no reason. And number two, what are the chances of her dying at the age of 30 or the age of 20? So therefore, by the time, if there is a ketubah bichlal, it might be only in another 30, 40 years. So if you're going to tell her right now, I'm going to make an investment. How much is your ketubah? 50,000. I'm going to give you money. How much are you willing to pay? You're not going to pay 50,000. Doesn't make sense, right? Why? Because remember, if she dies first, he loses zero. So therefore, it has to be a good investment. So maybe he'll come to her and he say to her, you know what? I'll do a good investment deal. Here's $10,000. You sell me your ketubah. Now maybe she'll take it. Why? She has a doubt bichlal whether she's going to get the money or not, because maybe she's going to die before the husband. And even if she does get the money, maybe it's only going to be in 50 years, 60 years. So therefore, because of that, she might say, you know what? I prefer 10,000 now, or maybe zero, or 50,000 in 50 years. So therefore, 10,000, she'll take it. But let's say they're having fights, right? Or they're both elderly. So now what's the chance of her having her ketubah? It's not anymore 20%, it's 80%. So therefore, now you have to pay much more for the ketubah. If I wanted to buy her ketubah, she's not going to accept $10,000 because she already knows that she's having so much fights with this guy that for sure he's probably going to get rid of her, and then he has to pay her the full 50. Why is she going to sell it for 10? She tells the guy, you want 40,000. Then she'll sell it. That's called tovat hana'at at ketubata. What is the tovat hana'at ketubata? Omdim kama adam rotze litem bektubata shel zo. We are going to evaluate how much does a person want to pay for the ketubah of this woman. She nitar mela nitkasha, that if she becomes a widow or she becomes divorced, right? Vimeta yorishena bala. But if she dies, then the husband takes it. So remember, it's always going to be a how do you call this? A doubt in what's going on. So now says the Gemara, right? We're going to be 8 lines down. So isal kadaita 7 lines down. Isal kadaita leta letakanat usha. Now, if you're going to tell me that we do not have the takana of usha, remember takanat usha was that we gave a stronger lien to the husband, meaning that even though the wife is coming in with certain properties, she's going to have a stronger lien. He's going to have a stronger lien on the property that he's able to take out from the lekuchot. That's called takanat usha. So says the Gemara, if you're going to tell me now that we don't hold of takanat usha, why is it that the husband is going to come and he's going to inherit her? It says the bin ketubata, sell the ketubah legamre. And therefore, even if at the end of the day she's going to die b'chaye bala, it should not go to the husband because she's selling it. So therefore, obviously, if you don't hold the takanat usha, she's able to sell her, let's say, nichse melug, her properties that she brought in. And gamarnu. So says the Gemara, Abaye says, can you compare the two cases of nichse melug and nichse sonu barzel? What is the difference between nichse melug and nichse sonu barzel? So therefore, we have to remember that there's going to be a difference. And in Melug, it goes in and he doesn't accept upon himself the value of the property. The Nichse Melug is 100% hers, but he just gets the fruits. Okay?
But if he get the fruits,
No. He just gets the fruits. But now, if the property went up or down or whatever it is, doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter. Yeah, but now, what about the Nichset Son Barzel? Nichset Son Barzel is 100%. No, it's hers also. It's hers coming into marriage. But the value of the property is going to the husband, which means the going up and down, that also belongs, which means that the husband would be responsible, right, for that. So that's going to be the difference between Nichset Son Barzel, right, and Nichse Melug. You have it here in the footnote.
Stronger for her.
Well, yes, I'm saying both of them are hers anyway, but that's what he's saying. He says, nevertheless, you cannot sell in the ketubah only the Nichse Melog, right? That because since the Gufa Nechasim belong to her, right? So that's what, but Nichse Tzon Marzel, he comes and he says that without Takarat Usha, a woman cannot sell it bichlal, right? He says because right? It says Hotiru Pachtu, Hotiru o Pachtu lo. So because of that, that's why it's called Tzonu Barzel, because they're Keilu, their achrayut on the one of the that's accepting it like Barzel, right? That it's usually it's not that common that it's going to go down in price, right? But at the end of the day, if it does go down in price, she will get that money as well. Okay, which means that, for example, let's say she gave him brought in a property and it's worth 100,000, and all of a sudden there's a recession, and all of a sudden now all the properties go down to 50. He has to give her 100, because that's what's called Nichsetzun Barzel. Nichse Meluk, he just gives her back the property. You gave me the property, I give you back the property. Until now, I ate all the fruits, like all the rent or whatever it is. It's fine, but here's the property back. That's called Nichse Meluk, right? Nichsetzun Barzel is no that one say it was worth 100. She comes here, it was worth 100 when I brought it in. Okay, here's 100. You have to give back 100. That's called Nichsetzun Barzel. So says, well, לפעמים יותר קשה, לפעמים יותר טוב, תלוי. Yeah? If it went up in value, now it's worth $1 million. He only has to give her 100,000.
Just that whole point.
Again, it goes in according to the value of the property, and now everything that goes up goes to him. If it goes down, it goes, meaning that everything that now happens is his. Like, exactly. He lo mafsida. He is an investment, but there's no return.
There's no return.
There's no return.
לקבל את ה-X שיברו.
Okay. Amar Abaye. Abaye says, Tovat Hana'ah, right? When we're talking about Tovat Hana'ah, Hoi v'ata liyadan, neighbor b'minda. Since we're talking about Tovat Hana'ah, we're going to speak about Tovat Hana'ah. Tovat Hana'ah le'isha havya, right? The Tovat Hana'ah is really shayach to the woman. And therefore, right, the husband does not have anything. These are going to tell me that it goes to the husband. Leimnu la'edim, the edim could come and tell her, Ma'yav satina, we didn't make you lose anything. If you would have sold the Tovat Hana'ah, anyway, your husband would have taken it. Which means this. One more time. What are we talking about? We're talking about that the woman is selling her ketubah. Okay? And she's selling it to people, and these people are good investors. So they want to try to investigate. They try to look into the Shalom Bayit, they try to look into the age, into the health. What are the chances that he's going to die first? She's going to die first. When is it going to happen? And therefore, it's like a life insurance policy, something very, very similar, but nowadays it's the opposite, opposite way around. But that's the way it is. Okay.
The value is less than the ketubah.
Well, it's always going to be less than ketubah. It doesn't exist to pay the ketubah, because then you're not getting anything. Even if she's going to get divorced tomorrow, why are you going to give her 50,000 to accept 50,000? Doesn't make sense. Talking about that she's probably going to get divorced within the next, let's say, year. So the guy comes and he tells her, you know what, the ketubah is 50, I'll give you 45. And she might even take it, but she says, you know what, I prefer 45 today than 50 in another year. You know, meaning that now, if it's only going to happen in 20 years, nobody's going to get 45,000 to get 50. Remember, and it's a chance that they could get zero. Because if she dies first, they get wallo, nothing. So there's always a chance of losing completely. So therefore, you're never going to give the value of the ketubah. You understand? Because imagine, you gave even 48, and then she died the next day. You lost 48,000. So you would never give exactly, but that's called Tovat Hana'ah. So now says the Gemara, but who does the Tovat Hana'ah belong to? So Tovat Hana'ah has to belong to the woman. Because if you're going to tell me that the Tovat Hana'ah comes and it belongs to the man, to the husband, so therefore, why in the world then the witnesses could come and say, we didn't make you lose anything? So Amar Rav Shalman says, Rav Shalman, Yishum de'ika revach beita. What does that mean, ika revach beita? From the mechira, she actually has more parnasa in the house. So because of that extra parnasa, meaning like this, even if you're going to that goes to the husband, there's extra cash flow. People need cash flow. Some people, they're, what's it called? Some people, they have a lot of money, but it's all invested. So when it's all invested, they can't do anything. So you actually look, they don't have, there's no cash. There's nothing there, right? They could have properties, they could have this, they could have stocks, but you have to live, you have to do nothing. Here, even if you're going to tell me that it belongs to the husband, it doesn't belong to her, the tuvatana, meaning the ketubah that she's selling, she still could tell the edim, listen, but we had extra cash flow in the house. Meaning that now we were able to live, bereva, or this, so that in itself, you made me lose. That in itself, you made me lose. So Amar Rava comes and he says, Hilchata, what is halacha? Tovat hana'a leisha. Tovat hana'a belongs to the woman. Ve'ena ba'al ochel perot, and the man cannot even eat even from the perot of that money. He does nothing. He doesn't take nothing. My tama, what's the reasoning? He says, Peira takinu le'rabbanan, Peira de Peira lo takinu le'rabbanan. The rabbis only instituted that the husband gets perot, but not perot. This is considered perot. Why? Because perot is actual fruits. So you're right. She brings in, let's say, a property. He could have the fruits or the rent. Nowadays we call the rent. The rent of the property, that's called perot. But now if you do something with that rent and you get another, meaning that's a secondary derivative. So you took that rent, now you put it into a savings account, and that savings account now is getting money. The money of the perot belongs to him because he gets the perot. But the peirei perot, the fruits of the fruits, belong to her. Why? Because they never made the takana that it goes to her. So it goes to him. So therefore here, this is considered perot because she's selling her ketubah and therefore belongs to her, does not belong to him. By the way, just to understand what is tovat hana'ah, right? I'll also explain to you another concept where you see there's a concept of tovat hana'ah. For example, maaser, 10% of our makings. So technically speaking, it doesn't belong to us, right? It belongs, okay, you're talking about when we actually had, fruits and that. It belongs, let's say, to the aniyim or to Torah institutions or whatever it is. The 10%, right? But we have the tovat hana'ah that we are the ones that decide who does it go to. So that's called tovat hana'ah, meaning it's not really ours, right? But we have tovat hana'ah. Tovat hana'ah is the good of the benefit that we could come and say, you know what, I want over here, or I want to, and the same thing happened when it was during the time of Kohanim. That when we had a Kohen or we had a Levi, I come and say, okay, I'm going to give to this Kohen, or to this Levi, or to, and that's called tovat hana'ah, the same type of a concept of what's called tovat hana'ah. Okay? When Rav Papa and Rav Yeshua came from the academy of the Bet Midrash, Amri, they said, Tanina letakanat usha. We taught in the Mishnah takanat usha, Peizan Amud Aleph, Ha'eved va'isha begiatan ra. We already said that an eved and a woman begiatan ra. Why? Hachoved ba'en chayav. Meaning that right now, if you come and you hit them, you're obligated to pay 100%. But if they come and they hit you, they're going to be ptudim. Right? They're going to be ptudim if they came and they hit other people. Why? Because they don't have what to pay from. Now, says the Gemara, 1 second. Now, if you're going to tell me that we don't hold of takanat usha, meaning like this. Now that if we already paskin that there's takanat usha, does she have any money to give? No. Well, she has the nixemelu. No, but the nixemelu is subjugated to the husband. So therefore, even if she would sell it, the husband would take it away. So that she cannot sell the nixemelu. So you're obligated to say that we hold of takanat usha. But if we don't hold of takanat usha, why do we say that isha pigyata ra'ah, but she doesn't have what to pay, and she'll only pay when the husband dies or after she gets divorced? That means basically it's like put on hold for whatever amount of years. Why? Let her sell it with nixemelu and let her pay. Elama, we hold of takanat usha. So says the Gemara, and according to your reasoning, even if you do hold of takanat usha, she can't sell it legamre, but sell it for tovat hana'ah, and give the money. Ella, but rather she doesn't have nechse melug at all. So which means even though we just said that you cannot sell the nechse melug, but you could sell the nechse melug for tovat hana'ah, and we just said that the tovat hana'ah, right, goes to her, not to him, so therefore she could still pay back the money. So obviously here we're talking about a case where there's no nechse. So therefore you can bring a proof then that we hold of takanat usha. So ask the Gemara, fine. So why doesn't she just sell the ketubah? Imagine she comes, she punches somebody out. We just said right now she doesn't have money, so she's ptura. Right now she's ptura. Later on, when she gets her ketubah or when she gets divorced, she will have to pay up. But until then, she's ptura. Why? Sell her ketubah for tovat hana'ah. and then she should pay. So answers the Gemara, how many who is this? But the media, it's a need. The Amar that he says, according to Shitat Rabbi, she cannot sell her ikak. You know why? Because then she's not going to have what's it called? She's not going to have a ketubah, but she just sold it. So since she sells her ketubah and she doesn't have a ketubah, she's not allowed to be married to her husband. So says the Gemara, "Tamamai." What's the reasoning? Right? Says 1 second, but I don't understand. It's the exact opposite reason. What is the reason why you need a ketubah? You know why? Imagine right now you would tell somebody, listen, you got married. What is the cost to get divorced? Nothing. You threw her out like a pair of shoes. Yeah, what's going to happen? Everybody will get divorced. Why? Because listen, how much does it cost already? You brought out, boom, throw her out. Gamarnu. Elama, we want it to be difficult to get rid of a woman. To be difficult, you have to pay up. Money, people value money a lot. So therefore, they're not going to be so quick to come and start, throwing out money like that. Especially a ketubah has to be minimum 1 year salary. I remember that. Nowadays, Matayim Zuz is klum. Right? But once upon a time, and even nowadays, usually they'll try to do 26,000, 52,000. They'll try to do something, and the very, very wealthy, they'll come 500,000, talking about a lot of money. Yeah? But it's not that simple just to throw her out. But now says the Gemara, but 1 second, what's the reasoning here? We don't want him to get rid of his wife. So we want to make sure that she has a ketubah, so he'll pay. He says, here it's the exact opposite. Here, she sold her ketubah. If she sells her ketubah and the husband now wants to get rid of her, the ones that she sold it to are going to come and going to take everything. So it's still not easy for him to get rid of her. I understand that if he's going to get rid of her ketubah, it's a problem because that means he could divorce her without any problem. And we don't want him to throw her out like a pair of shoes. You understand? But here it's the exact opposite. It's the exact opposite of Rabbi Meir. What does that mean? Rabbi Meir says you're not allowed to leave your wife without one moment without a ketubah. You're not leaving her without a ketubah. The opposite. If she's going to come and sell her ketubah, all the more so the husband doesn't want to get rid of her because he knows that the second that he gets rid of her, somebody's going to come and going to take that property. Somebody's going to come and take it away from him.
The one who she sold the.
Rather,
he was saying that.
Says the Gemara, you're right. Ela tovat hana'ah mile ninu. Really, be'emet tovat hana'ah is words. You're selling words. Umile lo mishtabde. Words are not mishtabed to nizak. What does that mean? At the end of the day, you can't obligate her, right, to sell her ketubah betovat hana'ah because it's only words. At the end of the day, are you actually selling anything? You're not selling anything. You're only selling like a deed, or you're selling something that might come later on. Those are words. You understand? That's nothing. So says the Gemara, alama lo. Why can't you sell it? Mile de mizabne bedinarim. He says, 1 second, these are words, right, which are going to be sold bedinarim. So therefore, if they're going to be sold with dinarim, so why don't we say that you should sell it for tovat hana'ah? But rather, mishum de Shmuel, because of Shmuel. The Shmuel says, hamocher shtar chov lechavero dechazar umchalo machul vafilu yoresh mochel. Right? And even the Yoresh could be Mukhel, which means like this. Nowadays, by the way, people would think, when was the last time you had somebody that comes and he buys a shtar chov? And the answer is, it does happen. Right? What does that mean? I'll give you the example. Nowadays, there's a lot of companies that they come, and they're smaller companies, and they come, and what they do is that they give you a mashkanta. They give you a mortgage. Right? Now, they reserve the rights of selling your mortgage. So after they already did all the job and they do everything, they come now to another company, which is a bigger company, and they come and they sell your mortgage to the bigger company. So beforehand, you were coming and you were paying, let's say, Bank A, right? Or whatever company A, and now all of a sudden you're going to pay company B. That is called that people are selling a shtar chov. You're selling a shtar chov, meaning I went and I borrowed money from you. I owe you, Mr. A. Mr. A comes and he says, you know what? I need money. I can't just leave my money right with the shtar chov. So what am I going to do? I'm going to sell it to Mr. B, and that's called mochel shtar chov. But now there's going to be an interesting question. What happens right now if I was, right, the person that they owe me money? I come and I sell it to Mr. A, and then I come and I tell Mr. the guy, I tell him, by the way, you know what? I'm mochel on the chov. I forgive you on the debt. What happens now?
So he's not selling.
Well, I already did sell it. I already sold the shtar chov. Meaning I sold it to
He
her.
can be mocher.
Says the Gemara, listen to Gemara. Shmuel says, Hamocher shtar chov lechavero. Somebody comes and he sells a shtar chov to his friend. Right? Means he sells it to somebody else. The chazar umchalo, and then afterwards he comes and he forgives the loveh. Machul.
Wow.
This
is amazing.
Not only can the guy be mochel, even the yoresh could be mochel. Meaning, the guy that lent out the money.
But the second guy.
One second. The guy that lent out the money, right? The guy dies. Now he already sold the debt to another guy. Even the yoresh could come and could be mochel on the chov, and the chov is nimchal. So it comes out that the reason why we're not going to obligate a woman to sell her ketubah betuvat hana'ah to pay back is because then she could come and be mochel the ketubah to the husband. If she's going to come and be mochel the ketubah to the husband, what happens now is that the lekuchot are losing out money. So because of that, we didn't want to obligate her to do it. You know, because it's a big prank, right? She could be in a thing with her husband. Everyone understood what happened? One more time, right? Let's go outside. One more time. What are we trying to ask? We're trying to ask, a woman came and she damaged somebody. So he said, listen, she doesn't have any money. Is any money that she does make or any that belongs to the husband. So therefore, she cannot pay back the chol, right? The damage until when? Until either she gets divorced or the husband dies many years later or whatever it is. Okay, fine. Very good. Ask the Gemara, let her sell her ketubah, betuvat hana'ah. Answers the Gemara, we don't want to do that. Why? Because if we're going to tell her you have to sell the ketubah betuvat hana'ah, she could come and she could do a good trick. What does she do? She comes and she sells the ketubah to Mr. A, betuvat hana'ah. She tells her it's a $50,000 ketubah. How much are you willing to pay? So the guy starts asking questions. You know, then he's not going to just based on her. He wants to find out how's the Shalom bayit. So he's going to do his work. He comes back and he says, listen, there's no reason you guys are going to get divorced. And I might have to wait, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, whatever it is. So you know what? I'm going to say, I'll give you $30,000. So okay. She takes the $30,000 instead of the 50. And all of a sudden she comes to the husband. She tells the husband, Ani mochel lecha al ketubati. I'm mochel on the ketubah. What happens now? He loses the entire thing. Just like the exact same thing that happened to do with shtar chov. And this is Shmuel saying that this is psak halacha, that this is what you're able to do. Right? So and that's it. So he comes and he says, Amri, they said, Zabune zavim betitelle, v'machla legabebal, timchala. She says, 1 second, what's the big deal? Tell her, sell the ketubah, give the nizak the money, and even if she is going to forgive him, let her forgive him. What's the big deal? So he says, no. You know why we don't want to say that? Right? He comes and he says, the reason why he comes and he says is because Amni kol legabe baal vaday machlale v'afsedinu lahu zavina biyadayim l'afsedinu. He says, no. Because to do with somebody else, which is the husband, for sure she's going to forgive him. So therefore, it's like you're making the guy be mafsid biyadayim. That we don't want to do. Meaning like this. What are the chances for me to be mochel, the guy? There could always be a chance, but is it always? I'm always going to be. Is I'm always going to come and start being mochel? Why should I be mochel? Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, $1 million. Yeah, right. But he comes and he says, but to the husband, the chances are so high that she's going to be mochel that it's kilu you're being mafsid beyadayim. So therefore, since we don't want to allow that. That we don't want to do.
So it's a bad business.
Yes. V'chi teima. Now says the Gemara. If you're going to tell me Zabina ni'ala lahu dechavla be betovat hana'ah, fine. Sell it to the guy that she damaged with Tuvat Hana'ah. Sell it to the guy that she damaged with Tuvat Hana'ah. Right? Peitet amubet. Di machla legabe baal. Because if right now she's going to be mochel to the baal, lo kamafsid. He didn't lose anything. Tehashtanami lo midi kayavala le. Because even now, he's not, right? She's not giving anything for it. Sof kol legabe baal, anything to do with the husband. Vaday machla, for sure he's going to be mochel. Vatrucha bedina bichtei lo metachinan. And we're not going to come and we're not going to do that. The Bedina have to do all these things for no reason. So basically, we're not going to obligate her to sell it to the guy himself because it just doesn't make sense. You understand? I mean, there's nothing that you really gain. Okay, fine. Now the Gemara says on 89b, right on the top, it says Ela haditani, that which we learned to the right of v'chen he shechavla bebaala lo yifsida ketubata. What happens if she hit her own husband? Yeah, you see Mordechai, this happened even once upon a time. Yeah, he says, right, that she's the one that she's doing it to her husband. She's the one that chovelet b'ba'ala, right? Lo yimsina ketubata. She doesn't lose it. Yeah, it says, amai, why? Right, is benina nehala lektubata leba'ala betovat hana'a be'achabala. Let her sell the ketubah to her husband with tovat hana'a. Timach la legabe ba'ale kapsela. But even if she's mochel, he's not losing it. She's going to be mochelet, right? It doesn't make sense. So answers the Gemara. Yeah, you're listening. Answers the Gemara. Vadai Rabbi Meir. He comes and he says, for sure, this is Shitat Rabbi Meir. The Amar that he says, Asur la'adam sheyashet ishto afilu she'achav lo ketubah. No, there's a problem. If she's going to sell to the husband the ketubah betovat hana'ah, that means now she doesn't have a ketubah.
And she cannot be with her.
And she cannot be with the husband. Why? Because if not, he's going to throw her out like a pair of shoes. Yeah, which means, you understood what happened, doctor? One more time. Here in this case, right? She hurt the husband. So if you're going to tell me now, obligate her to sell to the husband her ketubah, right? So that means she doesn't have a ketubah anymore. Because basically the husband doesn't have to pay the full value of the ketubah. Remember, it's not the full value. It's tovat hana'ah of the ketubah, right? And not only that, if she's mochelet, so then she doesn't have a ketubah, that means. So it's not going to be good.
It says a couple cannot leave without the ketubah. Even if
you don't know how many times it happens that I always tell chatanim on the night of the wedding, especially it happens on the night of the wedding. I tell them, you make sure that whoever you just gave the ketubah to, because usually the husband gives the ketubah to the wife under the chuppah. She gives it to the mother. You don't know how many times it gets lost.
The what?
It gets lost. Yeah, you don't know how many times. I have minimum of 6 stories. 6 stories of people getting lost. One time I remember the Khatan and Kala went back to the hall at 2 o'clock in the morning and they found it. It was ready to be thrown out of the garbage. Now, if it's not by them and they don't, or it's not by somebody, they're not allowed to live together. So I had a friend in Eretz Israel. That's fine, but it has to be someone, and it has to be that they know where it is. I had a friend that he got married in Eretz Israel, and he told me what happened after the wedding. At 2 o'clock in the morning, she was an orphaness. So therefore, she didn't have a father. She had the mother. The mother, obviously, so many things. The mother, she didn't know where the ketubah went. They couldn't find the ketubah. At 2 o'clock in the morning, they had to find the rabbi in the middle of Bnei Brak. They had to find the rabbi. The rabbi had to find 2 witnesses on the street. They had to write a new ketubah in order for them to live together. If not, they cannot live together.
That would be a ketubah d'irkesa.
Yes. Ketubah d'irkesa. A ketubah that was lost. A ketubah that was lost. But the reasoning, what's going on? We don't want that the husband should be easy to throw her out. Hacha here, Megadeshla, he's going to be divorcing her. He says here, he's only gaining. Why? Not only is he going to throw her out, he's also going to get money. Because now, since she punched him out and she damaged him, and now she sold him, so now he's even getting money from this now. Because now he's not losing money. So says the Gemara, Yachi, if so, right? So to now, because he's going to divorce her and he's going to collect the Kabbalah. So answers the Gemara, what happens if she has a big ketubah? He's not going to lose. Meaning like this. Imagine right now he has to give a ketubah of 52,000, right? Or whatever it is, 101,000 or 36,000 or 26,000. The Kabbalah that she did was $1,000. Is he going to really divorce her to get $1,000, but then he has to pay 25, or he has to pay 35, or doesn't make sense. So because of that, he's not going to make a loose. Now says the Gemara, 1 second. But if the ketubah is more than ketubah doraita, look ma ketubah doraita. Place it on the ketubah doraita. And the extra, sell it, right, and pay off the dmei chabala, which means that you have, right, which is the value of the ketubah, and then you have everything else. Okay. Obviously, by the way, you should know that the entire concept of ketubah, doraita or the rabbanan, is a machlok of the poskim. That's a machlok. It's Sfaradim and Ashkenazim. We paskin it's the rabbanan. Right, but the Ashkenazim paskin that it's the doraita, but the amount is different. So answers the Gemara, kigon delon ifisha ketubata b'ketubata. Which one? No. Ashkenazim hold that the ketubah is doraita. No. Meaning that the ikar ketubah is doraita. The 200 zuz is the 200 zuz is doraita. That's what Ashkenazim hold. That's why they actually add in the word midoraita. The chazilechi midoraita. We take out the word doraita. We don't have doraita. Okay? No, זה לא קשור. כן, זה לא קשור לכתובה. כגון דלא... מה? לא, שאלה פשוטה ונוטה. Right? כגון דלא נפישה כתובתה מדאורייתא. What does that mean? For example, there wasn't going to be a ketubah that it wasn't that much. Right? The havi chabala arba zuzeh. Let's say that the chabala was 4 zuz. Temishum arba zuzeh lo mafsid 25. We know that the ketubah is 25 slain, which is 100 zuz. So because of that, he's not going to come, he's not going to lose it. So it just doesn't make sense. So he says, okay, fine. Elahad Tanya. It says, right, that which we learned in the Braita. Keshem shelo timkor vehi tachtav, kach lo tafsid vehi tachtav. Just like she's not going to come and sell her ketubah when she's still married, right? So too, she's not going to lose the ketubah. She's not going to. She's still under him. Sometimes she's going to lose it. What's the case? Let's say the Kabbalah was worth more, and the ketubah was much more also than the Torah. So if so, then he is going to come. He is going to come and do it. So Rava says, the Sefer is talking about ketubah benin dichrim. This is what it means to say. Just like when she sells ketubata to other people, she did not lose the ketubah benin dichrim. My tama, what's reasoning? Because she just needed the money. That's why she did it. She didn't want to take away the zechut of her children are going to inherit the ketubah after the death of the husband. So too, when she's going to sell the ketubah to her husband, lo yisida ketubah benin dichrim. My tama, what's reasoning? What is ketubah benin dichrim? Basically, the entire concept of ketubah benin dichrim is that her children, her male children, are going to be yoresh ota, even though the husband had other male children. Meaning, the husband already had other children. So now it's known that when he dies, the other children are also going to collect. But her ketubah has to go to her children. So that means even if it is going to be that she dies first, her ketubah has to only go to her male children. So says the Gemara, lema takanat usha tanaihi. So 1 second, we were arguing in takanat usha whether the husband in takanat usha they mean that the husband has a much stronger power, a lien over her fields. So says the Gemara, why don't we just say that takanat usha is machlok tanaim? Tani chada, because we learned in the Braita avdei melug, when we're talking about avdei melug yotzin b'shen v'ayin leisha, which means that if the woman came and she hit out the tooth or the eye of her own eved, but this is avdei melug, that means it came from her, meaning the eved came from her, not from the husband, right? It comes out avalo leish, but they don't go out free if the man hit it out. Meaning if the husband came and punched out the guy's tooth or punched out the guy's eye, he doesn't go free. It's only from the woman. Right? Betanya idach, and the other one comes and he says, lo leish velo leisha. What does that mean? They're not going to be yotzim lecherut, whether it's the man or the woman. So says the Gemara, one second, what's going on here? Sabura, we thought according to everybody, kinyan perot is not considered kinyan aguf, which means even though the husband's eating the fruits, kinyan perot is not like kinyan aguf. So says the Gemara, so is that not what they're arguing with? Demanda amar leisha, that according to the mandamar that is to the woman, right? Let takanat usha. So therefore, he doesn't hold of takanat usha. And therefore, since he doesn't have a hold of takanat usha, that's why it's only if the woman knocks out the tooth and the thing, the Evan goes free, but not the man. But according to the mandamar, lo leish velo yisha, but according to the mandamar that he'll never go free, he does hold of takanat usha, right? So he comes and says the Gemara, no, everybody holds of takanat usha. But here the question is, it was before takana or after the takana? That's the first answer. Meaning that if it's going to be the kodum takana, right? That was the first braita, that's what we're talking about. But the second braita that says lo leisha velo leish, that's after takanat usha. But beforehand, it was only going to be the before the takanat usha. It's only the woman that if she knocked out the eved, right, the eved's tooth or foot or eye, that she would go free. Or another answer. Really, we're talking about after takanat usha. Takanat usha, and we do hold of takanat usha. But according to the mandamar that it's only the woman and not the man, my tama, what's the reasoning? Like Rava. The Rava comes and he says, Hekdesh, Chametz, Veshichrur, Mafki'im, Mideh Shibud. What does that mean? If somebody comes and he makes his shor, or Chametz, or an Eved, a putiki, which means he's miached otam, okay, in order to come and to collect a chov, Okay, and then afterwards he was makdish the shore to a korban, or it came Pesach, and then obviously the chametz is a subana, or he freed his slave, right? The Gdesh is going to be chal on the shore, and the Yisur on the chametz and shichrur leved, and it takes away from the shi'abud, meaning even though he came and he made an aputiki is basically, this is a guarantee on the debt, which is a lien on the debt. That means if he doesn't pay back the debt, this is where it's going to collect it from. It's going to take away from it, and therefore the guy cannot collect anything. So the same thing in ours as well. The shichrut of the Eved Kanani is mafkia midei shi'abud. So therefore the Maaseh Isha is going to take out the Eved from the shi'abud of the Baal, right? And therefore there's not going to be a problem. And that's exactly how, right, what we're actually saying until now.